in the Notting Hill Holland Park market over the last 12 months, it's been on fire. I think for those particular areas where there's a lot of outside space with some of those houses, the communal gardens, for example, those have been a big draw for people with families, especially they've been living in apartments, and they'll be taking them up for rental if they can't buy them. So it's been the call of the outside space, which has been a major draw for them.
Well, it's certainly been a unique year of ups and downs. I think there was a shock to everybody's system during the first lockdown where nobody knew what was going on. We obviously had a lot of properties that we were unable to show.
2021 has been pretty much the most extraordinary market of my career. The first quarter, obviously during lockdown, was very difficult, but we've seen some huge gains and some massive results on very specific properties in the second quarter, with a really dramatic finale, obviously up until the stamp duty holiday ending. It's been a really, really extraordinary roller coaster of the first 6 months, and one that will hopefully continue for the rest of the year.
There has been growth. It's very hard to actually quantify in specific terms. It has been 10%, 11%, 3%, because it's actually very road specific in central London anyway, no matter which part of London you're in. But overall, there's been a push on prices.
I think for prime property, the levels haven't really changed, even since the peak of the market. I think anything that is less than prime has really struggled, and the values particularly have gone down. But if you have a really prime asset, a really prime house, a really prime flat on an excellent floor, first floor flats considering, we've sold a lot in Onslow Gardens and Onslow Square, and I would say that anything on the first floor, levels in fact might have increased because of the rarity, the scarcity of these properties, and buyers particularly are prepared to pay for quality.
We hit the ground running at the beginning of the spring when we were allowed to continue with viewings. And I think there was a lot of pent-up demand. So we had a very, very good summer market with a lot of people who had decided to make life changes. So it was an incredible market, much better than we thought it was going to be. There was certainly less activity in terms of viewing numbers, but it was all about the quality of buyer.
We've been very lucky that it hasn't been one type of person buying, although we would really like the overseas corridors to open and all the foreign buyers to be unleashed into London, which has been our Achilles heel. We have seen domestic buyers, especially downsizers, being very active in the area. Houses, particularly Kensington, very active. We've seen some fantastic transactions in Notting Hill, and we've been very, very pleased with the way that the domestic market has now come back into the market.
I think with buyers overseas who are looking to come into London, I think, yes, there are conversations being had, and they know London. They've been coming here for years and years and years, and they know their way around. And they are sort of beginning to call, thinking, look, we think we can come over in August, or ahead of schedule because we're getting kids into school in September or whatever. So yes, there are conversations being had, and they're just saying that we just want to get clearances to know when we can travel. And I think once the sky's opened, it is going to be a lot busier. Whether or not we'll have the stock is another matter.
I'd like to think that we're going to return to some sort of autumn market where there's going to be, optimism, certainly from vendors. I think a lot of vendors who have potentially held out on putting their properties on the market would have actually sort of realised that actually, that the quality of buyers is fantastic, and it's a great time to sell.
I think Q3 and Q4 are going to be fine. Again, we've got the summer months coming up, but due to the fact people aren't going away as much, I think we're going to have an interesting summer. And providing there is stock, which is obviously key, and there are buyers coming into London, people are prepared to buy, and the market is still very good, but on a very specific, as I said before, type of property. But again, I must reiterate, stock is the absolute key.
So it's important that if you do see the right house when you're in London, buy it.